He's Kieran.
And he's Kieran.
And this is The Kieran Show. Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Kieran Show. This is our third outing, would you believe it?
Yeah, and also our third lighting kit.
Yeah, this has been a real learning curve. I think I have a whole new level of respect for people that do content creation and YouTube in general.
Oh, thank you, Kieran.
You're just amazing. What can I say? This really is The Kieran Show. Not me, you.
Yeah, I think we've gone back to our first lighting setup.
Yeah. I think
we've experimented a little bit. You'll probably notice there's a different theme across each of them so far.
Yeah, I think the first one we seem to get the lighting right. The second one we seem to get the mic setup right.
And this one should be everything lined up really well.
Third time's the charm. Third time's the charm, really.
Yeah. So, what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about Mr. Kieran's Chaos Wolves.
The very, very fun project that I've fallen in love with over the last 2.5 years. They seem to get a lot of attention on social media or
for the right reasons
tournaments.
And the wrong reasons.
Yeah, it's they're a real Marmite force. When I say Marmite force, I mean generally people like them, which is always obviously really humbling. It's always really fun to talk about. And then the Space Wolf players
don't like them at all.
Oh, it's a dicey subject.
Spicy nuggets for them.
It really is. Yeah, they are. Yeah, maybe hated is a strong word, but
yeah, you've gotten a bit of flack over the time for it.
Yeah,
which I think
we're going a bit overboard.
Yeah,
they're just a bit mad, and you know what? That's fine.
So we're going to go over where the inspiration came from.
Sure thing.
How you went about it. So like what kits you decided to use for some of them that are on the table here.
Spoiler alert! It's a lot. It's a lot of kits.
I was going to say, I wonder how many different kits go into some of these miniatures.
I'm sure my eBay will tell me.
Yeah, but yeah, no, we'll go through each of not each miniature, just the army as a whole. There's a few centerpieces that I think I really want to ask you some questions about. And we'll get some.
See where we end up.
Yeah, but first, how's your week been?
Heavy. I think heavy. A very hobby-centric. There's been lots of painting, lots of building, lots of panic painting. So
yes.
I go to the SN's No Retreat, their Horus Heresy event this week. Hang on, what date? Yeah, this week coming.
Yes.
I hope Pardo's not watching. I have a lot to paint still, and not a lot of time to do it. So it's a bit of it's stress. Ultimately stress.
Yeah, I think you've. How many dreadnoughts have you smashed out recently?
So I'm taking 3 in total because I just love dreadnoughts. Recently I've painted 2 in 2 days.
That's mad.
Yeah, it's been wicked, but yeah. What about you? Any hobby plans?
Yeah, so I've been the past couple of weeks. I've been pretty busy getting everything ready for this lovely little venture. Editing, buying all of the lights known to man, trying them out, having faulty lights turn up as well.
It's been quite the emotional journey.
Yeah, so yesterday was the first day I sat down for probably more than half an hour to do some actual hobby.
What did you do?
I've been doing my Votan. So they're my
similar,
not similar to these, but they're a custom scheme that I've been doing. Hopefully you'll have seen them on Instagram.
They look great, by the way. You should absolutely go check out Kieran's account because those Votan are sweet. They're really cool.
And the Chaos Knights, that every time I post a picture, Instagram decides to remove it. I think it thinks they're satanic because they've got so many.
It's the symbols for sure.
Yeah, it's just a shame.
Yeah, Instagram's giving you a rough time. Giving you a bit of a rough ride so far this year.
Yeah, it likes the Votan, so I'll plug them. But yeah, and I'm doing them in a custom yellow scheme that I came up with, which has been fun. Fallen in love with Imperial Fist contrast paint, as a lot of people have. If you're going to paint yellow, it is the bee's knees. It's just one thick coat, and you've got good yellow.
Yeah, does it sit really nicely on the panels and the paneling and stuff?
Yeah, because the Votan have got quite a lot of divots and other bits and pieces for it to settle on. I don't know how I'd feel about doing it for an Imperial Fist. Maybe I'll give that a go when I've got some marine somewhere.
Yeah, be fun.
Yeah, just to see what it's like. But it's a really cool paint. I've actually really enjoyed painting the undersuits as well because
the little pajamas they've got.
Yeah, they're little pajamas because they've got quite a bit of texture in there that you can pick out, which is quite nice. Like their posteriors are quite pronounced.
Yes,
those squats definitely do squats.
Yeah, those thick boys. To be honest, I think we've been really, really lucky with 9th edition releases so far.
I don't think there's been a bad model. There's been a couple of maybe.
Got some favourites for sure.
Definitely some favourites. While we're on the vein, what's been your favorite? Right, because stipulation, the model has to be out, so you can't pick Angron. What's been your favourite mini of 9th?
I'm running a blank.
Stunned silence.
I really am. I'm running a blank. I think that's a really hard question to answer. What armies have we had so far? The new Necron stuff was really good. I think that definitely needed a refresh. That was great. The Infernal Master for the Thousand Suns is slowly becoming one of my favourite ever character units.
He's a really underrated mini. I've got one in there, and I really enjoyed painting him.
I think people really slept on him because I think he's great.
Well, you got to remember as well, he came out at the same time as Grey Knight's guy, whose name has fallen out of my head.
He was Castellan Crow?
Yeah, so he's got a really cool mini. I really enjoyed him.
I think Avatar Arcane is a given. I think that thing is just insane. I would love to paint that, actually. That does
a lot of magma to go through there.
There is. I think I'd like to do quite like a really like cold blue, almost like sort of Warcraft-esque.
Yeah, that would be
sweet.
Cool.
Like in the snow, that'd be really cool. I'm well up for that. But that's back on topic. That's the current theme of my Chaos Space Wolves.
In a similar vein, do you know who I would pick as my favourite knight?
Sorry, what would you pick?
I'm gonna say cut me out.
Welcome to my show now.
No, so it's the
what would yours be?
My favourite mini I haven't actually bought. It would be Bellicor.
Was that 9th?
Yeah,
edition?
he was 9th.
See, I painted Bellicor, and he is mental.
I really like him.
I totally forgot about Bellicor. Maybe him.
Either him,
he was incredible.
Him or the Silent King. The Silent King was he had so much going on.
He looks like the most insane DJ ever. If Daft Punk, they died or ended up in like a cryo chamber, and then 40,000 years in the future they came out, it would be the Silent King.
Yeah.
10
I'd love to paint him and Bellicor.
At the same
time. And I don't have either. I have so many other kits, and I didn't buy those.
Maybe you should get a Bellicor, and I'll get an Avatar Arcane.
Do you think I really need any more plastic? Our last video, we literally added £130 worth of kit.
That's maybe a nice thing to just shoot into quickly before we talk about the Chaos Space Wolves.
Hopefully the reaction to that was really good. At the time of recording, that came out yesterday.
It came out yesterday. And you know what? In the space of a day, we've had some pretty positive feedback, but also a lot of people that say the same thing we did about the supply drop. Yeah,
a lot of people weren't as keen. There's a couple of people that definitely resonated with my disappointment there.
There's a lot of people that don't like orcs as well.
Yeah. It didn't go down great.
I think you're all wrong. So I suppose, I've definitely seen a couple of comments and spoken to a few people, and they've said that we should convert those orc units. What do you think?
Could do. The only thing I could think of to do with the orcs would be to strap the 4 death copters to each of the wheels. So it's kind of like, like Grond from Lord of the Rings. Just coming in.
Grond. Yeah, that's
Grond.
Awesome. That's wicked.
Yeah.
There's definitely space for it.
There's definitely some room for it, I think. We'll watch this space.
We'll keep
we've already put the Tau Darkstrider's gone on eBay. I think we were agreed that you've already painted one. I've already built one. So
no.
And there isn't a great deal to do with it. So he's already gone.
He's gone. Oh well. Yeah, well, we'll keep, as we said, we only posted the video yesterday for us, so we'll keep watching those comments roll in, and we'll eventually probably talk about it on the next video, to be fair, what we're going to do with them all. Super fun.
Should we stop rambling and talk about these
Let's ramble some
lovely Chaos Wolves?
Yeah, these are these have been, as I said before, these are my pride and joy army. This is an idea that sprouted very early on in my restart with Warhammer a couple of years ago.
Well, that leads me into my first question for you, actually.
Hit me.
So where did your inspiration come from these? Because they're quite a... how'd you get the inspiration to commit heresy to Space Wolves?
So I like Space Marines. I do. I think they're fine, though. I think they're just fine.
Have you painted any normal Space Marines? I don't think I've seen you do any.
I've painted some Black Templars. They were fun.
Oh, yeah.
They were fun to do. But again, they're like quite an aggressive Space Marine chapter. They're not very like...
Yeah.
They preach that they're loyalists, but they're not. They're not. They're really not.
That's a serious accusation. You're going to get some flack.
Sticking with it.
There.
Fight me. Black
Templars are heresy. You heard that first here.
Yeah, say what we want. That's what they are. So as I said, so Space Marines are cool. They could just be cooler, and that's where Chaos Space Marines come in. And I really, really like the Chaos Space Marines. I do. I think they're a great unit. I think the team as a whole is wicked. I think they're sort of like from a lore perspective in the Horus Heresy and stuff. I think is wicked, absolutely wicked. And unfortunately, the Space Wolves I think are the coolest concept. Let's say. I think
they're very well. G-Dubs still hasn't decided, are they Vikings or are they wolves?
Yeah, and I think people everywhere can all rejoice in song knowing that Vikings are cool. Like, I just think they're cool as a concept.
We had an hour-long conversation today about Vikings in general. Yeah,
we did. And I love that. But I think Vikings, they're not, to me anyway, this is a very personal sort of review, I guess. They're not clean. They're not polished. They're certainly not loyalists. They're out for themselves, sort of run and gun,
totally.
Pillaging. And I was like, that doesn't sound like a loyalist chapter at all. And I was like, hang on. What happens if Chaos... taints Space Wolves?
Which company did you pick to do them as? So that's where that was part of your inspiration as well, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. So obviously, sort of looking at the idea and the concept, like how could it work? Like I'm a very big fan of like the what if concept, and I think especially when you start teaming up with Warhammer lore, like you can have like a lot of fun. For those that don't sort of follow the Horus Heresy and stuff, Leman Russ, who is the Primarch of the Space Wolves, jumps into the warp with his 13th company and just sort of goes bye-bye for a while. So
he hasn't shown up. I think a couple of other people have popped out of the Jagasai Khan's gone Tokyo Drift around the warp, hasn't he? But I think he's popped up every now and again. But I think Russ is kind of just...
Yeah, he just went
bye.
Yeah, he just went Adventure Time, didn't he? Broke Magnus's back, which I'm a bit bitter about, and then
I was going to say you're a Magnus.
Yeah, I really love the Thousand Sons. I do, and I think
did he do anything wrong?
No, and that's another episode. I could jump in on an episode for that. But yeah, so the concept of Leman Russ and his company jumping into the warp and being gone for such a long time, like irrespective of whether he's a Primarch or not. If he comes back or when he comes back, I definitely don't think that's a write-off. Imagine if he was completely manipulated by Chaos. So whether he comes back as a giant like demon wolfin or like something like an Odin style. I don't know. There was so much inspiration around that, and I think that's it's just wicked.
I really like the idea you came up with there. I've seen a few similar things that don't work as well. Like I've seen a couple of people they've done like Ultramarine successor chapters that have fallen to Chaos. And the Ultramarines poster boys, they're not. Yeah, they wouldn't.
No, whereas, it just doesn't fit in the fluff, does it? I think
this is obviously lore accurate because no one knows what's going. But this,
as I said, this is like a what if concept, and it's my idea, so I'm not wrong, I'm not right, because it's mine, and that's fine.
You'd have to think as well, like for how long the 13th Company and Russ have been running around the warp. They probably would
shy of 10,000 years, isn't it?
Yeah, they would come back with a couple of tentacles.
They'd be weird looking. They'd be
Russ was weird looking before he went anyway.
Yeah, so. Timbers were shivered when they came back. Like they're going to be proper. I mean, 10,000 years in the warp is about to change anyone. And I think just based around that, I think there was so much I could do with that. And I think whether they came back just with the 13th Company or even like some loyalist Space Wolves just went, well, that's our Primarch. We're going to follow him until the end. Like, it's always for Russ, for the Allfather. And I was like, let's double down on this because this is a very, very fun concept. Sorry, and it's awesome. It's awesome. It's been a lot of fun to do.
Cool. Well, there's your background of where the army came from. Yeah, now let's talk hobby stuff.
Hobby stuff.
So I'm going to pick out a couple of key ones that me and I think the community in general have reacted to quite well. So we'll start off with Mr. Wolf Abaddon.
Bad man of bads.
So he is very cool. As far as the kit bashes go for this one, it's quite a tame kit bash for you.
It is.
As you'll see when we get to the Lord Discordant. Keep watching.
So I really like Abaddon. I think he's a great character. He's a great sculpt as well. I think the model is phenomenal. And I think when I was initially looking at the kit bashes I could do with him, it seemed like a bit of a waste almost to go as heavy, let's say, as I have on a lot of the others. So it was quite simple. So it was just a like sort of base manipulation, a simple head swap. I think it was with is he called Ulrich the Slayer? I think he's like a Space Wolf character.
He's I love the atmosphere that you've given him. I think a lot of that stems from probably more from your paint job actually than bits you've slapped on. Like, he has got a different head, but the scheme works. Like your cream that isn't cream anymore.
It's that sort of like dirty off-white armor, very grungy, very heavy. And I think having the reverse on it, so instead of having like a darker base tone and then with the trim being a bit lighter or metallic, like I've completely reversed it. And
Lord knows Chaos Space means they love them some trim.
They really do. There's so much trim. Oh yeah, the hours I've spent just painting trim on this army. Oh no. every time I want to add something new, I'm like, oh, remember the trim.
It's got plenty of your favourite G-dubs paint on as well for your OSL.
Yeah,
you're
it really does.
Big Nylock Oxide fan.
If anybody is looking to do blue OSL, like an icy blue OSL in the future, the Oxide paint from Games Workshop, I mean, I'm not sponsored in any way. They're not, but just buy it. It's
a really cool paint. I use it. I've only really used it for its intended purposes, obviously for copper oxidization. That's a mouthful.
Nailed it.
Yeah, I think that really works. But I think he's definitely the simplest one. But with your spin of the paint job on it,
for sure,
does look cool. Okay, so I put him to one side so I don't get distracted because he's really
things
cool.
We've spoken about.
Let's talk about the big boy himself, Mr.
the Prince of Darkness,
Mr. Demon Russ.
Demon Russ.
So, what's the base kit? Because this has got quite a few changes.
Yeah, this was one. So for those that are into sort of Age of Sigmar and stuff, so I used the Radakar the Wolf kit. When they first showcased the vampire count, what they call Soul Black Gravelords, for Age of Sigmar, they showed this model, and I was like, "That's the one I want.
That's my Russ.
That one will be Demon Russ." So. Obviously, it's quite Sigmar heavy. There was like some vampires kicking about at the base and stuff. So the first port of call was get rid of them.
You replaced it with the Blade Guard veteran shield.
Some Blade Guard kit bits on the bottom.
So you have painted Space Marines.
I have painted Space Marines, and I have painted yellow. What do you know?
They're just stuck on the bottom.
Space Marines are great for basing. What can I say?
You have actually painted a Primaris Lieutenant, which is hilarious. So we'll get onto that in a minute.
I have. So the Radakar is such a great model, but it's very... it's still very vampire heavy. I think one of my main issues was the hair. Like,
I was going to say, you've done quite a bit of changes to the the head.
Yeah, it had to be an extensive kit bash for that one. So it was just like completely shave him bald, and then green stuff, a completely new hairstyle, and then like a bit of a ponytail from I think it's from one of the Space Wolf heads actually, and then just on his back, so it's Bjorn the Fell-Handed, I think was the Space Wolves Dreadnought. I took his axe.
His shield and axe, isn't it?
Yeah, the shield and axe is from him. Apparently that's very thematic. I don't know whether they knew each other or whether I'm not really super clued up on.
I guess in your lore, Bjorn is dead.
Yes, he is, and
controversial.
May he stay there.
Was he venerable? Bjorn?
I don't know. I won't even pretend to know. Yeah, I'll get it wrong, and it's
Not anymore.
Yeah, you know what? It would just fuel the hate from Space Force players.
Yeah.
But yeah,
No,
he's easily like one of the pride and joys of the army. I think not necessarily from a paint job standpoint, because he's definitely not the person, or definitely not the model that I've spent the most time on.
But he's got a really simple paint job that I think just works. It's got a nice, moody, wolfish atmosphere to it. Like you said, there's not as many painted elements as other ones, and I think
because as I mentioned before, like because this army gets like a bit of attention when I go to tournaments and stuff, like calling it so I think the name I sort of tagged was like the Disciples of Demon Russ, and having him at the forefront, like he's obviously the person that gets the most attention. I think the moment anybody converts a Primarch into a loyalist or a traitor from its opposite legion,
can you imagine if someone did that to Robot Girly Man?
I would love to. Imagine him getting the
I think
like a word bearer's treatment.
You can't You can't. As much as I'm all for this, because this is cool, you can't do that to Rowboat.
Watch me.
Half of me is I'd quite like to see it because of obviously the paint job that you would do.
Because if you had the dark red armor and like the metal trim, and then with some like green OSL kicking about, and give him like some really sort of pallid, like almost like ghoulish skin for his face. He's
quite ghoulish anyway, isn't he? He's quite a pale dude.
He's very like blonde hair, blue eyes, isn't he?
Just he's like a poster boy, isn't he?
Gross. Hate that. Anyway,
we're going on to.
I digress.
To your future kitbashing ideas.
For sure. But yeah.
I don't know which one to go next. I'm looking forward to talking about the Lord Discordant, but I think from the stories you've told me, he's got the most story behind him and that I think he'll be a good one for us to talk about in a minute because of how you can approach kit bashing and whatnot. I mean, I personally, the only thing I've ever done for kit bashing is to stick other heads on things. I haven't.
That's how I started, to be fair. I think when to digress even more, when I first started 40k again, I had like an orc army, and that was my first sort of in with kit bashing. I think it's quite a scary concept when you take an already expensive model and then you break it. That's already a mental concept anyway.
Yeah.
But then trying to make something new from that it's a rough process, and I think it all starts with idea mapping. Like with the Lord Discordant, the one of the main things I wanted to try and do was make a character on top that represented its legion, and I think the Lord Discordant rider, the person on top of the beastie, I think is a really cool model, but I don't think he's independent enough to be like classified as a named character. So there was one of the I'm sure I was watching Vikings at the time with my wife, and there's a character who's like really messed up looking. I can't, the seer.
From Vikings.
Yeah, from Vikings. So he's like the weird, almost like mystic guy hanging about.
His face is kind of dripping off him, and he hasn't really got eyes.
Yeah, he is haunting, absolutely haunting. And I was like, I want him. I want you. So he was my sort of main inspiration. I've had a bit of a play. I really cut up the rider itself. There's a lot of green stuff. There's like a huge like sort of wolf pelt over the top of him, and then I made sure to. I think I took the head from their new Chaos Chosen kit. That's another great kit, by the way, this year. That was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah,
from the Eldred Jones box. And the Warpsmith. Oh, I love Chaos.
There's a Warpsmith on the table as well.
There is. Great time. Love them. But yeah, so one of the Chaos kits on that has almost like a third eye just in the center of his forehead, and I was like, if I'm looking for a seer, like almost like a psychic mystic, Wizzy boy.
Before we get too deep into the deep dive on the Lord Disco, I think we need to talk about the Terminators, because the heads that are on there, they actually look dog-like.
Yeah.
So where did you get the heads from? Are they a third-party item?
They are a third-party item, yeah, for sure. So
I didn't recognise them in any kit.
This is definitely, for those that know the Games Workshop rules, this definitely isn't an army I could take to Warhammer World and battle it out. There's a lot of third-party bits, but the heads are from a company called Puppets War. I really, really recommend Puppets War. I've been probably going back and forth between them for the last at least 2 years. Like they're
Do they 3D print them then?
Yeah, so they 3D print them and then they send them over. So
that's
unfortunately,
cool.
you can't get like the STL files or whatever. But to be fair, like that's absolutely fine. Yeah, the heads are wicked. They're really, yeah. I think they're menacing. I think that's the thing I wanted to
They're
do.
They look very dead.
Yeah,
Like-
and the Chaos Terminators I think are cool, and they are cool. I like
They're a really good kit.
Yeah, they are good, but it's quite like, again, very monopose. The heads are fine, but I needed them to represent the team that they were fighting for. So having almost like wolf-like features on their helmets was an easy win.
Did you use the standard axes, or are they from a different kit?
No. So all of the parts on that kit are from the Chaos Terminator kit.
Because the axes really fit. Like they do, especially with the nylock oxide.
So across the board, with the team that I've got, like I really wanted to lean into that sort of Norse Viking culture, that sort of aesthetic. So any hammers or axes or anything that screams Vikings, really.
Yeah.
I just take rule of cool always. So yeah.
How many Terminators did you do in the end?
I've got 10. I've got 10 in total.
Just the 10.
Yeah, it's just the 10. I would love to have more. I don't know. It's Terminators and Dreadnoughts. Oh,
I love a good
coolest.
Terminator.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, first getting into Warhammer, and I had my first Space Marine army, there's two kits I always wanted. There's Terminators, close combat Terminators, just with the storm shields and the Thunderhammers. Yeah. And also really always wanted a Land Raider Crusader. I got a Land Raider Crusader once.
Feels very Black Templar.
I had a Black Templar's army.
It's gone now.
It was... I did the terrible thing when I must have been about 13. I was like, oh, Black Templars are getting their own release. Ooh, those Ultramarines, I don't like them anymore. I'm just going to paint black all over them.
There it is. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great time. Memories.
Bad. We've all made bad hobby choices.
Yeah, bad hobby choices.
Like, I think the worst hobby choice I think I've made as an adult was when I did my Void Raven for my Drakari. And I think it must be about 10:30 at night. I was meant to be finishing up painting, and I was like, this purple, it's going to look great with yellow on. Never painted yellow before. I mean, it ended up working.
Yeah.
But what kind of madman at 10:30 at night decides I'm going to start spraying yellow?
I would never. I would never. The moment that I think I should stop is the time I should stop. Yeah. But
cool.
yeah.
Let's have a look at... Is he a Chaos Lord?
So he is
from a sorcerer.
Yeah, so he's a sorcerer in Terminator armor. So he is from the Chaos. It's quite an old kit, to be fair. I was definitely around when I was a lot younger. So it's the Chaos.
It's a good
Terminator
kit,
Lord kit. It is, and there's so many options in there as well. But again, very monopose.
Complete with tactical rock.
The tactical rock is one of the best in 40k.
It is.
Hill.
It's a really good example of the tactical rock as well, because it's spiky and
it's just very heretical.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a wicked little model, and that was again like another very tricky kit bash. Like I used some other concepts from the what else have we got in there? Maybe some other Terminator bits, some Space Wolf bits as well. Definitely the head.
I was going to say that head looks like it's from a Space Wolves kit.
Yeah, it's again green stuff. Some big old ginger hair on there as well.
How did you do the pelt? Did you green stuff that? Or
green stuff, yeah. So
green stuff the whole pelt.
All of it, yeah, the whole thing. I should have a
mad lad.
I should have like a subscription service with green stuff.
I was going to say, how many packets of green stuff?
I go through. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I use so much of it, but again, when you've done it once or twice, or whatever, you can do it like a million times. It's a great time.
How do you do the pelt? Because it props to you. It does look like fur. So is it just a case of you lie a sheet on it and then you just start poking it, or?
Hilariously, yeah.
I was joking. I didn't know.
No, that's it. Anybody that's doing like very simple, like animal pelts on with green stuff and stuff, like just putting it down and then poking it with the back of the hobby knife.
Just poke it.
Just poke it. Yeah, that's a bad tag for the video.
That's not going to be the description.
But yeah, no, that's it. It's really simple to do. Yeah.
No, he's wicked, and he's almost like the opposite of Russ, because he's got a lot about him. Whereas Russ, like, he's He looks almost like a werewolf, it's just lurking. Whereas
it's that very like Wolfen-esque style to him. And whereas I think a lot of the smaller characters, especially to be fair, for the majority of my armies, they all look very similar. They've all got very similar armor. They've got very similar weapons.
Yeah.
So that always for me requires a lot more work because I think it just needs to look different. They need their own style,
especially with Chaos Space Marines. Obviously, in the fluff, they're pillaging bits from other things.
Yeah,
different shoulder pads, and they're not like your poster boys that are going, "Oh, we've got matchy," because they don't. Chaos Space Marines we don't have access to as much tech anymore, but then they augment it with powers.
All those warp entities and psychic ghoulie boys.
Now I've just picked up a Legionnaire, and it looks like he has got. I'm gonna have a guess. How many kits are in this?
Have a guess. Yeah, try if you can pick out all the kits. I will.
I think the Legionnaires, you've got 3 different kits in there.
Go on.
I don't know which kits, but obviously the standard Legionnaires kit.
You're already wrong.
Is it not?
Keep going. Oh no, you are right. Sorry, the backpack. The backpack is from the Legionnaire kit. Yeah, for sure.
I want to say Blade Guard for the legs.
Yeah. So the main concept of the body was from the Blade Guard. So
and these are just Legionnaires. How many Blade Guard kits have you bought?
So I
they're not a cheap kit, and you only get 3.
So the Indomitus box was the launch edition. For people that don't know, was from it was the launch box for 9th edition for Warhammer 40,000, and that's how I got back into the hobby. So my friend Alex took me to a hobby shop, and he was like, "Look, they've got Indomitus boxes. Do you want to come down?" And I blame him entirely for my hobby so far. It's his fault. Blame him. But yeah, so obviously that box came with some Blade Guard, and I ended up using that entire box of Space Marines as bits.
No way. See, I had one of those.
The entire box. I've got so many characters for this army that I've built, and they're just in a box waiting to be painted. I have got so much stuff.
Stop paying 1,000 Suns and just do these.
So this is definitely the year for Chaos Wolves. Like, there's going to be a lot more additions to this army. Like, I think I have a very I have an issue with sort of going and jumping in, thinking, oh, I could do another army, I could do this, I could do that, and
opposite to me.
Yeah. So
I'm just like, ooh,
but this
fresh plastic.
Yeah, fresh plastic. So whereas this year, like, I really want to build on it and make some more stuff. To be honest, I think one of my hobby maybe goals for the end of the year is to have at least 4,000 points of these guys painted up.
Imagine if you could get them all fielded just on one battle. That would be that'd be pretty cool.
That'd be sweet. Maybe we'll save that for the end of the year. That'd be awesome.
Should we talk about the Primaris Lieutenant that you've painted?
The Primaris Lieutenant. What?
On
oh yes, of course. Yeah, this always gets a little bit.
This is this Spider Gwen, or is that the other one?
This is Spider Gwen. Well, to be fair, I call them all Spider Gwen. But so this is one of my Venom crawlers. So the main point of focus on this miniature specifically is the Space Marine that is just glowing fire from his dismembered limbs. The Venom.
He is proper strapped to the top, and he
really is.
He's dissolving. He's not even like just in bits. He's slowly just becoming nothing. Yeah,
so the Venom Crawlers are some of my favourite kits from the Chaos range. They're a great time. They look incredible as well. They're very like grim and horrible, and the flesh and the guns. It's like almost like a personification of what Warhammer 40,000 is.
Strapping half dissolved Marines onto things.
Exactly. I mean, I have 3 of them. I have 3 Venom Crawlers. I just think they're so cool and
they're
thematic.
all different as well, aren't they? They've all got a different atmosphere.
Yeah, exactly. And I think so. Venom Crawlers, for those that haven't painted them, they're again monopose, and I don't have a problem with it. It's absolutely fine, but there's one thing I hate, and it's having miniatures that look exactly the same as each other. So with this one, in a way of making it look like its own thing, was cutting off the spikes that were just on the top that were all lining the miniature.
Because they're quite spiky.
They are very spiky. So putting a wolf pelt on the top, loads of chains, and then this poor marine from the Bellacore kit for
that's that one.
from the Eagle Eyes out there. Yeah, so.
I thought you'd cut him up and got really fancy with some green stuff to make some.
No. I wish if I could sculpt like that, I wouldn't even be buying miniatures. I'd just be making my own.
This is the Kieran game.
It really is. Yeah, I just love making like fun, thematic like miniatures that just sort of stand out and having.
That one is definitely a standout. I like all three of the Venom Crawlers, but when you see that coming across you at on the tabletop, you're just like, oh
yeah.
That's a bad time there. I don't want to be strapped to a Venom Crawler dissolving.
It's fun, and I think that's it. Like having them look scary was the most important thing, because I think Space Wolves, they look kind of menacing, but having them sort of chaosified, that's not a word, but I'm going to coin it, and like in a very grimdark scheme, like it should be haunting. Like they should, like the Warhammer 40,000 tagline is in the grim darkness of the far future there is
these
only
are
war.
Fully grim
and
dark.
These are that, like they should be scary. So yeah, like that's what I wanted to go down, like, and also like the very sort of like almost like warm tones with the dark off-white armor, and then
the white really works on Venom Crawlers. I think
it's cool. I just think it works.
They're a really versatile painting kit, because obviously the box art is black, and they look really good in black and gold. But
this is like it's a total reverse, and it had to be. And I think one of the sort of it's very fluffy, but having like a loyalist legion convert and having that sort of like opposite paint job, having the black trim and the white paint, I think it's sort of like a nice, I don't know, almost like personifies that, which is super fun. But yeah, there's loads of runes on all of the armor as well. So the idea around that was having runes almost like hand painted in blood. I think it was one when I was like first starting out this project. I think me and my wife were watching Chamber of Secrets, the Harry Potter film.
Are you telling me the whole inspiration for this army came from Harry Potter?
Yeah,
and the Chamber Pot of Secrets.
Yeah, I absolutely am. Writing blood on the walls. I was just like, that would be wicked if it was runes.
Ronald Weasley.
You killed my cat. Yeah, inspiration in the craziest of places, but it works, and I really, really love it. So having blood painted runes on old disheveled armor is totally my jam. Totally my jam.
We've got a fabulous Bill here.
Fabulous Bill. He's
just in the scheme, but he does the OSL on him does look really cool.
Yeah, he's again just one of my favorite Chaos characters. So similar to Abaddon, like the Chaos range, especially of like independent characters. Any Chaos players out there, we are spoilt for choice. We really are. There's such an amazing range with characters that just sort of scream personality, and Fabulous Bile is one of those people. And as I said, I think it was in my was it our first video or second video with Creations of Bile? No, it was the last one.
We digressed when we got him in the box.
We did. So Fabulous Bile is one of those. He's probably one of the most used characters I've got, to be fair, just because of how the 8th edition book went. But he's just great. Love him. It's a good time.
Great. Shall we wrap up this showcase by talking about what is probably my favourite one that you've done? And I'm going to do a World Eaters army when they come out. And just this mini alone has given me so many ideas just from looking at what you've done. So I'm going to fully rip off some of what you did.
It's fine, yeah. Go wild.
So there's so much going on with this Lord Disco. Like he's got a head change. He's got a person change pretty much because he's been cut to pieces.
I don't even know how much
I think he must be just held together with green stuff.
Yeah, the money equivalent of green stuff, I can't even imagine with that. I think we'll probably showcase some like sort of work in progress pictures that I took.
He'll be just green.
Yeah, there is a lot of green. There really is. It was an amazing miniature to build, let alone paint. And that's the whole thing with this army. Like, it has to be an experience from top to bottom. And I think the building is obviously quite extensive and it's often a challenge, but it doesn't mean you can't do it, and I love that as a concept.
Did you buy when I've got a really elaborate Khan conversion in my mind It's probably
Sure.
going to be my first kit bash, which is going to be hilarious.
No, those are the best though. Like when you first start jumping into it, especially when they're named characters.
But did you buy 2 of these?
Nope.
Because when I buy Khan, I think I'm going to buy 2 just in case I completely mess it up. I can still run a Khan in that World Eaters army.
See, I would rather not do that. I would rather
You
just
live life on the edge.
I do. I say I do.
On the hobby edge.
Yeah, it's definitely hobby edge. Like in real life, I'm a giant coward. But with the Lord Disco,
Well, according to the last video, you're a middle-aged white woman.
maybe that's it. I just sit and watch Ghost all weekend. But yeah, like this, it definitely my trickiest ever kit bash. Like it was an absolute mess at points.
Did you have any? So I guess we can kind of talk about the whole process around how you got to this point. Were there any points where you went, "What am I doing? Like, is this kit bash even going to work?"
All the time, and I'm not going to pretend like I'm not like that. Like this army is obviously really cool to look at and to build and paint or whatever. But there has been so many points over the course of this project where I've been like, "What am I doing? Like this is a mess."
What head is it on the front?
So I touched on that a little bit earlier. So it's the kit. Oh, sorry, on the front of the
like you've given him an actual.
It's actually from the Mauler Fiend kit.
It works so well because
it's menacing. Like I remember putting it out to the community when I first started, and I was looking for other heads, and there was a lot of people that said like juggernauts and stuff like that, and I was like, yeah, like it would work. It would definitely fit the theme. But
it's the size, I think.
It has to be big. Like it's chunky. Like, and I think the Lord Disco's. I can't remember what the beast is called. It doesn't matter. We'll figure it out. But yeah, so it's quite like almost like Nurgle-esque. There's loads of syringes and like very sort of like insect-like. And having this giant, almost like spider style,
he's got
or scorpion even.
Because
style.
you've also given him a mane, so he's very, very wolfish.
Very wolfy, and the Mauler Fiend head is awesome. It is really, really cool, but it's got spikes on it. It's got like a giant, almost like snake-like tongue. So I had to get rid of those, and I had to sculpt the teeth in the middle, which was a bit of a nightmare. Like if you saw the,
they looked like they were there.
I know. That's because I was doing them for hours. But yeah, no, I am thrilled with him. I wish I played him more actually in the 9th edition book. Because
he's so cool. If this was me, I would just play him, even if he's not competitive, just because he's looks like he's about to jump down and just whatever's there.
That was a really hard thing as well. Like, so whenever I start a hobby kit bash, I'll always try and draw it first. So it's never like good. I'm not like an artist depiction where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do shading and all the rest of it. It's just like a base format of what I want the kit to look like and how I want it, or how I'll need to change it from its original.
I think
form.
I've seen a lot of kit bashes like on Instagram and stuff. They'll post like a picture. This is what they're aiming for.
Yeah, and you need to, I think, because like even if it's like a very loose plan, like at least you know where you're going with it. So having him come down off like this huge tactical rock rather than just being sort of flat on the base, I wanted it to look like he'd almost like climbed down, like very spindly limbs, this giant like wolf head, climbing down from a cliff face or something, ready to absolutely murk an opposition. And just having that sort of angling as well was really, really hard.
Yeah, especially getting like the face so it's looking at the floor. And
there's all of the divots and stuff from what you get from these monopose kits. I just had to shave them off. It does mean it's very hard to position them. There's a lot of super glue and a lot of green stuff. So I think initially anyway, it was a case of putting green stuff in each of the leg joints, sticking the legs in, letting them almost like half cure, so they're sort of and then they're nearly dry anyway, then propping them up with like, I don't know, paint pots or anything that I could find really on my hobby desk, and then just praying that it works, and then coming back the next morning. And then if it's cured the way you want, great.
I mean, it definitely worked with him. I think I could talk for hours just about him. I think by the looks of the time on our recording, we're going long anyway. There's so many hours that you could spend just talking about each mini. But the Lord Disco is definitely my favourite that you've done. What's your favourite that you've done from all?
It's like choosing who your favourite child is. I'll be honest.
Give us a top 3 then.
Honestly, I think Demon Russ it has to be at the top, because I think he was the main source of the idea. And every time I play a game, like I just want to include him. I just every single time. And you know what? When they released the new Demon Prince kit this year was it this year or tail end of the last year? It doesn't matter. Recently,
it's actually up.
It comes out
at the time of this video coming out, depending on what day we release it. It'll be in a shop.
Yeah, it will be in the shop. Yeah. So when I saw that kit released, I was like, oh, maybe I'll do another one, like a Demon Rust 2.0. But I don't know.
Could be, or you could just do like a out and out werewolf.
Maybe. The thing is, I don't know. Like, I like this one so much. Like, I don't know if I need to do it again.
Okay, give us another 2 to round out the top 3.
The other 2 would definitely be the Lord Disco is definitely second. He was great. Lots and lots of fun to do. Easily my trickiest kit bash so far, and it just took me ages to paint. The amount of trim on that thing is mental. But when
that's Chaos Space Marine with a T, isn't it? Trim, triminy, trim.
I would hate to paint the Helldrake. I would hate to paint the Helldrake.
You mean the trim drake?
Yeah, the trim drake, the giant trim chicken.
It's the same with to the Chaos Knights I did. There is so much trim.
I think when it's the thing is with Chaos Space Marines and Chaos Knights in general, like when you have finished it, you're like, thank goodness.
Especially on the Chaos Knight kit, because it's big trim, so you can.
Yeah,
it's probably easier to get to than your trim on here because you can just angle the side of your brush and go away with the fairies. But knowing that you've got white next to it as well, like it's the same I'm having with my Votan at the minute. It's like if I could do in any dark color, it's got to go anywhere near that yellow.
Well, this is it. Like, I have to water down the black a little bit anyway, just so that if I do go on the white, I can just clean up really quickly afterwards.
Yeah.
So that does unfortunately mean 2 coats over all of the trim. So yeah, it's that
sounds like a sad time.
Yeah, it's.
But then
it's high risk, high reward, isn't it?
I was gonna say the reward you get, especially from these minis in general, is.
Yeah, it's been wicked so far, and I think number 3 would probably be is it Abaddon or Abaddon, or is it just both?
I think it's depending on your locale. I think it might be both. I've always said Abaddon. I could be wrong.
I've always said Abaddon as well, but then I read like Horus Heresy books or on Audible anyway, and they say Abaddon, Ezekiel Abaddon. I don't know. Either way, we all know who we're talking about. I think he'd probably be number 3. I think not from a kit bashing perspective, but just from a chance to paint something a bit alternatively and have like a bit of creative flair. Like I've got 2 different kinds of OSL. So one from Draknir, his demon sword.
Draknien, I think it is.
Yeah, Draknien.
It's got a nien.
Like a car. Nien.
Yeah, but it's got an apostrophe in there, so I don't know how.
All right. Well, his demon sword.
I think of all the things in Warhammer as well, there are so many things that I think some of the names of.
Yeah. So I mean, the OSL from the sword and the fire, like it was just like a nice contrast, and he's the only model, in this army that has 2 different varying contrasts, and it was just fun to do. And everybody that's into 40k, and whether it's lore perspective, model perspective, it doesn't matter, knows that he is an absolute badass. He is unbelievable. I've played some games.
He curb stomps everything at the moment, obviously, with the
and you know what?
The way the rules have fallen.
Just to have a bit of a touch on competitive matter, like he's gone up by like 50 points. He's up to 350. I still think he's an auto take. I think he's unreal.
I think he's probably become less of an auto take, but I think like people are allying him with just on his own.
Oh, so you can't do that anymore.
Well, yeah, now you can't. But that's what people were seeing. They were seeing like I think one of them was, I think I might be wrong, but my mind tells me that there was a Zeech detachment that you could run, and if you paired him up with Abaddon, just had all those flamers, and then Abaddon, whatever his name is.
Yeah, he is.
Mini Horus.
Although that's
the
little Horus Axeman. It can't be him. But yeah, the War Master is a wicked character. So I think just having the opportunity to paint him, I was very late to the party as well. The 9th edition book came out, and everybody was running him and going nuts. And I was very, very late to the party, and I was like, you know what, I'll paint him up, and we'll
you say late to the party, but I have one in there.
How long has that been in your thingy for?
Oh, that's
Are you going to kit bash him, or are you just going to paint him up?
No, I want to do a proper. I'll do him as is. I love him in the Horus Heresy books. He's especially in like Horus Rising. He just comes across so well. So I think I'd want to do him as he comes. I might.
Would you do it? I suppose you probably wouldn't do a Sons of Horus paint scheme on him. Might be a bit.
No, I think I'd just do him as Black Legion. I think I might do a different base. It would be the only change I would make to him. I was tempted to like World Eaterify him, if that's a term where it is now, for my upcoming World Eaters army, but I don't think I can. I think I just like his character too much. Yeah,
nice.
We've certainly deep dived onto your beautiful Chaos Wolves.
Yeah, there really is a lot of them. For anybody that is interested, there's loads. Like
there'll be loads of pictures that have popped up through this
content in its droves. But also just a shameless plug. Go and check out my Instagram if you want. There's tons on there.
There's and there's also we haven't got him on the table, but there's the other Dreadnought with the slab shield.
The Contemptor Dreadnought. So there was a special shout out actually. There's a guy over on Instagram called kitbashed guy. I really I will put like a little plug on over our faces or whatever. Definitely go and check him out. He designed me and printed me a Chaos Space Wolves Contemptor Dreadnought.
It is wicked, like the slab shield that he's just looks like he's struggling to hold.
Yeah, it was easily like the best hobby gift I've received.
I've yet to get a hobby gift. If anybody wants to send me one, shameless plug there. Give me free minis.
Please give me the minis. But yeah,
I don't need any more minis.
he was a wicked time to paint. He was wicked. So yeah, no. There's just there's so many more to come as well. I know that this year I definitely want to add some Chaos Raptors.
I was going to say, but you've had the Raptors and Havocs as well for quite a while.
Havocs as well, yeah. Havocs, I think less than the Raptors.
The Raptors are a wicked kit.
I think my next probably dream project for this list specifically would be the Khorne Lord of Skulls. That
you could do some seriously cool things with that.
That thing is enormous. Like it's like a Titan that you can use for this team.
So we're going to go to Warhammer World soon. We've actually provisionally booked a date for when we're going to go.
We have.
You know what you could buy when you're there?
A Lord of Skulls.
You could buy a Khitan, which is just a Lord of Skulls on foot.
Oh yeah, so he doesn't have that like the weird tread thing going on.
And then
so he's like a walker.
You could give him you could give him fur for days on those legs. Shop it.
Should I give him some apple bottom jeans, boots with the fur?
Yeah, it's going straight in Kieran's basket.
Oh really? Oh, I hadn't even thought. Yeah, I mean maybe.
Just
cool. Gonna shrug that off. Maybe.
It's inside you're like.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be like the next 2 months, 3 months, whatever, of planning.
Well, I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure he's made of resin, so I think you're in for a hard time there as well.
Oh God. Okay, fine. Well, it's too late. I think I've made a non-existent contract with myself. I'm already emotionally invested. It's already happening.
Right. Well, we're going really long with this one.
We really are. How long have we been doing this for?
We're going for 52 minutes.
Oh my goodness me, it's nearly an hour. We've gone from a 10-minute to a half an hour to
hopefully
you've
enjoyed this probably at the end, hour-long ramble about Chaos Wolves.
For sure.
Hopefully there'll have been lots of pretty pictures, so you won't have just had to have looked at
our face for an hour.
I mean, I could look at my beard for an hour. So
yeah, well there you go. I could too.
I grew this myself.
You did. You're a big, strong man.
So our next video is going to be... You're leaving the country. When did you fly? Saturday. You're going to...
No, I fly on Thursday. Which
Thursday,
is in 4 days' time.
So yeah, you'll be in Gibraltar for SN's No Retreat. So our next video is going to be almost another deep dive. Probably not as long.
I think maybe a review.
A review, and I think we're going to show off. You got a really cool gift.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, SN Battle Reports is on YouTube, Instagram, all the socials and stuff. They're a great team. They make some wicked content, and they have this exclusive event. Another plug. Really love those guys. They're great. So for their No Retreat events, they're like invitational events each year, and they send out like little invitation boxes with some cool little gifts. And
I really wish that I'd applied for the 40k one, but I didn't know it was up for.
Wouldn't that be amazing next year if we could both go?
It would be, and we know what would be really cool is if we had to play each other. So if we'd like
next year for sure.
I don't know how the drawing works, but if we got Drew on the same table,
that'd be wicked. Oh, awesome! Yeah, let's try that next year. That'd be really cool.
Well, if you remind me when it comes out,
Little reminder.
I'll apply. But yeah, that's going to be that'll be our next video. So you'll be freshly tanned, sunned.
I don't tan. I'll be as pasty as ever, but I'll come back with lots of information, lots of fun things to talk about, and also
Hopefully
how
lots,
I did.
Yeah, hopefully I'm going to make sure that you record some stuff as well.
Yeah,
if you can
similar to this video, lots of things like overlaying what we're talking about, what we're saying.
Lots of people waving nicely at your camera as you curb stomp them into oblivion.
I mean, I don't think I will curb stomp them. So this video should come out the weekend I'm there.
It might come out midweek. It might come out weekend, depending on how editing goes with various pictures and overlays for these beautiful miniatures.
Yeah, the people so we've been in this group chat for the Heresy event for maybe about 4 or 5 months now.
Are you all like giddy little children, just like...
We really are, don't get me wrong, but all of these guys are very, very into Heresy, and they have been for a while, and I feel like a bit of a noob. I've turned up and I've been like, oh, this is cool, and they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, cool.
I bet there's a few of them like, I'm going to so curb stop that Kieran guy into oblivion.
Try.
Don't try.
I'm so scared.
In other news unrelated to that, I think we've pretty much settled on our 24-hour challenge, haven't we?
We have. We touched on it in our very... Was it last? I don't know. These videos are blurring together.
The last video we had something cooking, and then since then, I think both of our minds have ran away with the fairies. And do you know what the lovely thing is? Although we haven't really talked about it since then, we've both come back today with very, very similar ideas.
We have. So, did you want to talk about it? Well, we know what the next episode's going to be.
Well, I think we'll leave that. But you know what we could say? So our minds are like, two minds, one Kieran. Little Tarzan plug there.
That was a reach. I like that. God's sake.
You're not going to break into Phil Collins' song.
I would love to. But yeah, no, this has been a really, really fun episode to do. If you've got any comments, questions, anything,
I think we've got a few
plug
more
it in
in
the comment section. That'd be wicked.
We've got a few more of these coming. I think we'll definitely do one on your Thousand Suns. Could do one on my Drakari.
I would love to do that. I really, really love your Drakari army. It's
They're not kitbashed, but the scheme I came up with. Again, they're on Instagram. I've got a lot of love for those. I need to add some more to them. But yeah, I think I could talk again. I could talk for similar to you, but I could talk for hours about the horrendous things I went through to get the paint scheme where I needed it to be.
Yeah. I think we'll definitely come in for the future. It'll also be really cool to do a little battle report actually between the Drakari and the Chaos Wolves.
And that also kind of leads into our 24-hour ideas. That's all you're going to get.
No,
right,
little plug.
We need to end before we ruin these people's days. They're just like, ruined my whole weekend or evening listening to these two idiots that share the same name.
Yeah. What even is the Kieran show?
We don't even know. We came up with it and we don't even know what it is.
We're rambling. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. It really helps us a lot. Thank you so much if you've stayed until the end of this video. We know it's been a long one.
Absolute heroes.
We love you, and we'll catch you next time.
Cool.
See you later. Bye.
See ya.